A piece of meat that looked like a turtle's head was found in the beef curry. The boy put it in his mouth and tasted it. He immediately found something wrong because it was a human. Kun realized that something was wrong and he immediately shouted. Other students were scared by the news. The silent mother was shocked. Upon receiving the police report, the police quickly went to the school cafeteria. They found a lot of human tissue in the beef rice. What's more frightening is that the same batch of beef cans also contained human meat fragments. The forensic doctor swiftly inspected all the cans, discovering feces and determining that the deceased was male. He was 5 meters tall and weighed less than 1 ton. With this precise information, the police quickly identified the deceased. The deceased was a professional food scientist. With these clues, the police immediately found the company that produced the cans. The cans here contained human tissue. The police initially suspected someone was using the cans for murder. The factory's production line was used to destroy the bodies, but the workshop manager immediately objected. He thought it was all an accident and someone must have accidentally fallen into the production line. The police quickly found the problem as no remains were found in the cans. The killer likely disposed of the victim's clothes in the meat grinder after the murder. This was obviously a deliberate murder, but how did these canned foods pass the inspection and enter the market? Seeing this, the workshop manager could only tell the truth. The canned foods were defective and did not pass inspection, so they could only be sent to the school cafeteria. This behavior instantly shocked Whodunit. On the other hand, the forensic doctor also found new clues on the body of the deceased. To save costs, the school bought discounted canned food that had not passed the video inspection. Unexpectedly, the students found human tissue in the canned food. The police immediately found the assistant of the deceased and asked him about the clues to solve the case. However, the assistant did not respond to the death of the deceased. He told the police that the deceased had developed a special formula before his death. Maybe his death was linked to this formula. The police could only pursue this lead. However, when the case reached a deadlock, the forensic doctor detected a unique scent from the deceased's body. The canned food company also produced this fragrance. After learning this clue, the police found the workshop manager again. The workshop manager claimed to have been attending a meeting outside for some time. Other attendees could confirm his alibi. His suspicion of committing the crime was also dismissed. The forensic doctor had new progress at this time. He discovered a shattered arm fracture in the deceased. Tests revealed it was due to a blunt object. However, the deceased's medical records indicated the fracture resulted from a fall. Obviously, the deceased lied. What's even more strange is that the deceased had told the police before he was injured. He reported the case to the police and claimed someone was following him. However, he was brutally murdered 2 weeks later. The deceased's assistant mentioned that he had created a new formula. This made Whodunit suspect that the deceased had a conflict of interest with someone else. Whodunit then checked the deceased's bank statements and discovered 2 large transfers to the same recipient. The deceased had minimal contact with this person, so the police immediately summoned him. Upon reaching the police station, they discovered that the individual was the CEO of an organic vegetable company. However, the woman denied being the murderer as she had no motive. The deceased made 2 transfers because he was interested in organic vegetables and made investments. He found modern industrial food extremely harmful to the human body and wanted to expose someone in this industry. The deceased did not reveal the person's identity. At this time, the forensic doctor discovered the true cause of death. This is a real murder case. The victim was killed in canned beef. The forensic doctor found a fatal wound on the victim's collarbone. After magnification, it was found that the murder weapon was probably a needle-shaped object, but ordinary needles are not so big. The detective suddenly remembered the unique syringe used by the canning factory to pickle food, which was developed by the deceased and his assistant. Whodunit found the female assistant again, but this time she claimed she had no motive to kill because the company was on the verge of bankruptcy, and the deceased was the only one who could save it. He had no reason to give up his own interests and kill the deceased. At the same time, the forensic doctor also reconstructed the murder scene one by one. The killer stabbed the victim's carotid artery with a meat-pickling syringe. The carotid artery has high blood pressure. In addition, the back of this syringe is open, so the murderer must have been splashed with blood at the time of the crime. But it is not enough to solve the case with just these. At this time, the detective suddenly found a piece of bone that was not human. Testing revealed that it was a hemp bone, leading to the canned food company banning horse meat in favor of beef to cut costs. Horse meat contains harmful acidic substances that can be dangerous to the human body. It is likely that the deceased discovered this and was killed to silence him. The deceased wanted to expose someone before his death, and the most suspected person was the boss of the canning company. So the police immediately summoned him. In the face of ironclad evidence, the boss still wanted to refute, so the detective immediately tested his hair. Sure enough, blood was found in the hair, and the boss was arrested by the police for intentional homicide.